Okay, this lesson is predicated on how to write the history outline for my history-based class. This will be valid for both world history and for AP World History as well. One of the things I want to say is that this is really hard to replicate online, but I'm going to do my best. So please bear with me there. What I have here is I have a picture of my classroom whiteboard that I use for this lesson in class. I simply took a snapshot of it, of what you're going to get in class. Now, I also have your textbook open to Chapter 1, Section 1. In yesterday's live lesson, we talked about how to preview the section. So I'm expecting that you guys know that this is Human Origins of Africa, that you've read through the orange boxes, that you've read the setting the stage. My goal today is sort of to give you a scaffold as to how to write the history outline, which would be your first classroom assignment for 10 points this year. What I've done on this side over here is I've made my whiteboard look like a notebook page. So you've got the top blue line and you have the bold red line on the left. The first step that you're always going to do for any outline assignment is you're going to write the chapter, the section, and then the title of the section on that top blue line. So in this case, I'm going to show you where I get this information. We're on Chapter 1, and this is Section 1. So I'm going to write Chapter 1, Section 1, and then I'm going to write this title right here on that top blue line, Human Origins in Africa. So here you can clearly see that I took this basic information from right here at the top of the page. Now, once you have it titled, the next thing that you'll do is, of course, look at the first red subheading. Your book is divided up into large red subheadings and small black subtitles. Those are going to be key clues as to how they're going to correlate into the outline. So I'm going to try to write in the markered color of what it is in the textbook. You do not have to do that when you do your outline. You can write all your words on the page in the same color. That does not matter. I'm only doing this with different colors to show you where I'm taking the information from in the book. So let's begin reading here. Scientists search for human origins. I'm going to make that Roman numeral number 1. Notice that I put the Roman numeral to the left of the red line on my page. That will keep your notes nice and neat. That will show you when every large subheading begins. Now I'm going to read. Written documents provide a window to the distant past. For several thousand years, people have recorded information about their beliefs, activities, and important events. Prehistory, however, dates back to the time before the invention of writing, roughly 5,000 years ago. Without access to written records, scientists investigating the lives of prehistoric peoples face special challenges. So that's basically what we're going to be talking about and learning about here in this section. It gives you a little bit of a clue. Now, the next thing that we see on the page is a black subtitle that says scientific clues. We definitely need to indent on the page. So I would say about a finger space, indent in, put a capital letter A, and write down scientific clues. You can clearly see that what I wrote here on my page is coming directly from this page in the textbook. Now what you would do is you're going to have, the book has done the work for you. Now what you need to do is read the text and come up with points that you think are valid and important to remember. And that's the point of writing an outline. You're breaking down the information. Now, in this one, we're going to be a little bit more detailed. We're probably going to be rewriting a lot of what the book says, but as you gain more experience, you'll be able to break it down and become more concise. So let me kind of scaffold, if I were the student, how I would sort of approach taking these notes. So here we go. Archaeologists are specially trained scientists who work like detectives to uncover the story of prehistoric peoples. I think that's actually a really important statement because that's telling us what archaeologists do. So I'm going to go ahead and write that as my point number 1. You can see that I wrote that down here on my board, or what you would be doing on your notebook page. It continues on. They learn about early people by excavating and studying the traces of early settlements. An excavated site called an archaeological dig provides one of the richest sources of clues to the prehistoric way of life. Archaeologists sift through the dirt in a small plot of land. They analyze all existing evidence, such as bones and artifacts. Bones might reveal what the people looked like, how tall they were, the types of food they ate, diseases they may have had, and how long they lived. Okay, what I did there is that was a lot of information. What I did is I summarized it into one statement. So I broke all the last 4 sentences down. I wrote the study of settlements, excavation, sites, and archaeological digs. That's basically what archaeologists do. And so I put that into my notes. I made it clear enough for me to understand. You can feel free to do that at any time. Please be as concise as possible. Don't rewrite the entire book. Next, I now come across a blue key term. There's a certain rule that we like to follow with blue key terms. They are very important. They are highlighted in the book for a reason. It is artifacts. Anytime you see a blue key term in the text, you need to number it, underline it, as I have done here, and define it. You don't have to write it in blue, but I want it to pop off the page. So I want you to underline it and define it as a point in the notes. You cannot skip key terms. All key terms must become points within your outline. So you're going to go artifacts. Artifacts are human-made objects such as tools and jewelry. You would write that definition right here. Then you read on. You read on and it comes to, culture. Okay, a people's unique way of life. Bam, culture. We're going to write that definition here. Then we're going to simply read on, looking for more points, looking for more points. You only have to outline the basic text. For example, this next page here is an insert box. It's not part of the basic text. Notice that it is much different in its format. You don't have to outline that. You do have to read it. You do need to study it. But when you get down here to the next page, it gets back to the normal text, and bam, we see another black subtitle, Early Footprints Found. Here I register that as capital letter B. Notice in my first section here that I put my B right underneath the A. And notice in my first point that when I had subsequent lines, I did not go left of the number on my notebook page. I kept everything to the right of the number as to keep my notes nice and neat. That is mandatory. Please do not fill in this space here because it's going to mumble and jumble the format. You want to keep everything nice and neat and concise and clear so that when you go back to study it, it is looking good for you and it's formatted and it is organized. That's the whole idea of doing an outline, to organize your notes so that when you refer back, you have an easy study process. Okay, and we're going to continue on. You can see that early footprints found here. We have a couple of points. Mary Leakey, I put ... Students need to fill in the blanks in class. You'll need to fill in the blanks if you were absent and watching this video. Then we said, we see another key term, hominids. We are going to underline that and define it. Hominids are humans and other creatures that walk upright, such as Australopithecine. You would write that definition. Now, if you wanted to break down something, you don't have to do this today, but in the future, if you wanted to break something down, like let's say they had a list of certain hominid species, all right? What you would do is you would indent again and put a subletter for further detail. Let's say you had Australopithecine, and then you had Homo habilis. And let's say that within Homo habilis, you wanted to say a few other points. You would put an I. You'd indent in if you wanted to have further detail, or double I if you wanted to have even further detail beyond that. So these are ways that within the outline, as you can see down here in my picture, that you can further delineate information. Give me one moment so that I can pull up the next picture here, which goes on to the next page of study. And that is not it. Okay, just one moment. Okay, here we go. And here is the next part as we continue on of what's important to know. So we'll get back to going through the rest of the lesson. Now, you can see that this would be capital letter C, this would be capital letter D. What I do is I let students kind of figure that out on their own. And then we come to our next red subheading. And anytime we come to a red subheading, we're going to denote that with a Roman numeral. Now, this one is kind of a special situation that you'll run across throughout the year a few times. So I wanted to highlight that here. Notice I wrote World History Special Situation on page 7. This is page 7. So Roman numeral 2, the Old Stone Age begins. You can clearly see that I took this information from right here in the book. But here we have an instance where in the introductory paragraph, before we get to the first black subtitle, which is on the next page right here, we have some key terms, and we have to make sure that those get into our notes. So what I want you to do is indent, and for your capital letter A, you're actually going to create your own black subtitle, which would be A intro. Now, the reason I did this is because it tells us that in the introductory paragraph, there are important points that I need to have listed down. And you can see Paleolithic age, which is the old Stone Age, and number 2, Neolithic age, which is the new Stone Age. Those are terms that you would need to define and underline. So we put them as A intro. That would make, as we read on, Homo habilis may have used tools becomes the first actual black subtitle. That's going to be B for us. We're going to read through here. We're going to come up with a few points. Homo erectus develops technology would be capital letter C. We're going to read through here. We see technology. We know that has to be underlined and defined. We're going to continue on. Oh, we have a red subheading. And then once again, we have what? We have an introductory paragraph with a key term. So we're going to need to make this a intro. Okay, continuing forward, we have B, Neanderthals' way of life. Now I stopped writing here because I want students to get, their work in here. Cro-Magnons emerge, capital letter C, that would be. New red subheading, right? Roman numeral 4, capital letter A, fossils, tools, and cave paintings, finishing up by coming up with a few key points there. Bam, that is the end of the section. I hope this is helpful. I hope you can utilize this. It's not the same as it would be in class because I won't be able to online come around and watch you guys do this work in class. I'll be able to filter through the room and make sure that guys are on the same page. But at least if you are absent or you're missing school, this way you have some reference on how to write the history outline. Thank you.